Hello friends, it's Ashley here from the Loopy Lamb and theloopylamb.com, and thanks so much for stopping by. Today we are working on another one of our Amigurumi Advent Calendar crochet along projects. Today, and I couldn't resist fitting one of these in, I'm not gonna lie, we're doing tapestry crochet. It's going to be fun, it's gonna be easy, and guess what? There's going to be no ends to weave in. It's going to be great. So today, to follow along, gauge isn't going to be as important because it is a scarf, but maintaining that consistent tension will help you make sure that the scarf is the appropriate dimensions for your doll. So to follow along, you are going to need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. You know what? Actually, you don't even need that. Because we're not going to be weaving in our ends. If you do want to weave your ends and you don't want any fringe on your scarf, you will need that tapestry needle though. We're using a 3.5 millimeter or E crochet hook. This is a Furls Odyssey hook from Furls Crochet, and you're going to need 2 contrasting colors of worsted weight yarn. I am using Bravo worsted weight as always. In this week we're using the colors Dove Heather and the color Cotton Candy again. So I'm going to clear my space and we'll get ready to get started. If you are ready to get started on your scarf for your doll, make sure you hit that like button and please consider subscribing to this channel. So now I am ready to start with my scarf, and I have done a chain of 84 with my first color, which is the Dove Heather. And I've got my pink handy because I want to be working over that secondary color for this round. So I'm going to just lay that over my working yarn, and then I'm going to move it off to the side here because I want to show you that we're going to be working into the back bumps of the chain. Okay, you don't have to do this. If you're more comfortable working into the chain the normal way, you go ahead and do that. It's not really going to dramatically affect your scarf. It just gives it a cleaner finish on the bottom. That is it. Okay. And if you are not comfortable with carrying this yarn this first round, that's fine. You will need it for the second round, but I carry the yarn every round to ensure that my fabric is always the same thickness, as well as at the end, I'm going to need it for the fringe. So I want that extra tail hanging out there. So when I do add my pink, I want to make sure that I have a couple of inches off to the end because, like I said, it is going to become fringe later. So anyways, I'm going to turn my chain. I'm going to identify the second chain from the hook, working into that back bump, and I'm going to single crochet. Now this first couple stitches here, when you're carrying the yarn, can be a little finicky, but once you get the hang of it, it's not a big deal. And then I'm just going to single crochet into each chain across, all the while I'm crocheting over that pink, encasing it inside the gray. You'd like to pause your video and come back to me when you are ready to finish this row. I'll show you how we're going to finish off this row and every row from here on out for the project. So I just finished my last stitch of round 1, and I'm going to grab my scissors here, and I'm going to leave a tail of at least a couple of inches here of both of my colors, both the gray and the pink, and I'm going to cut them. And then I'm going to finish off with the gray here. I'm just going to do a chain 1. You don't have to do that. You can just pull it all the way through. But I find on the first row at least it's helpful to have that chain 1. So now this is our row 1. It's all the gray. So after I did my finishing off for round 1, I'm coming back to the first stitch of row 1 because we're going to be working always from right to left with the right side of the fabric facing us. And now I'm going to attach my first color, and I'm going to go under both loops here of the first stitch, and I'm going to make sure that I have a tail of at least a couple of inches of my first color available so I can use that as a piece of fringe later. Now I've gone under both loops here, and I'm going to grab that pink yarn, and I'm going to again have a couple of inches of tail here, and I'm going to lay it across the tops of my stitches. And then I'm going to just kind of pin that there, reach around, grab the working gray yarn, and I'm going to slip stitch and join there. Okay. And now we are going to work 5 single crochets in the back loop only using the gray yarn. Now you can work your first stitch under both loops if you want, or you can go into the back loop for this first stitch only. It doesn't really matter since you've joined under both loops. And then I'm going to work in the next 4 stitches in the back loops only. So you can see I'm picking up just that back loop, and I'm carrying the pink yarn with me. Now, just as a quick refresher, this is your front loop, this is your back loop, the one that's furthest from you, and you're inserting your hook, picking up just that back loop, and doing a single crochet. We've got 3, 4, and now when I get to my 5th stitch here, I'm going to start my stitch just as I normally would, but I'm not going to finish off with that gray because I need to change to the pink. And I'm going to grab that pink and do my last yarn over in that color. Okay. Now I'm going to work 1 stitch in the next stitch, a single crochet in the pink, but because it's only 1, I can't finish with the pink. I need to swap over to the gray color. And the yarn over and pull through, and that's our 1 pink stitch. And now we're going to do 7 gray stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. And now all the while you are carrying that pink yarn inside your stitches. Now I'm on my 7th stitch, so that means I'm going to pull up my loop. I'm not finishing off with the gray. I'm going to do my last yarn over with the pink. And if you've noticed, I'm pulling that gray yarn just very gently, so I don't have this loosey-goosey stitch, and so I can pin the gray yarn down behind the work until I start my next stitch. And now I'm going to do 1 pink stitch. Now, because I need to switch over to the gray, I'm going to finish that stitch, the last yarn over, with the gray. And then I'm going to do 7 more gray stitches. And this is going to be our pattern. We're going to do 1 pink stitch followed by 7 gray stitches. I'm going to do that all the way across. So I just finished my repeat of 7 gray stitches followed by 1 pink stitch. I did that a total of 9 times. And now I'm just finishing my last pink stitch by doing the last yarn over with the gray. And then I'm going to do 5 single crochet stitches in the gray to finish off this round. Now that I'm at the end of my round, I'm going to, once again, I'm going to cut both of my ends, leaving a couple of inches of tail at the end. And then I'll finish off. Then I'm ready to start with round 2. And this is how our piece will look so far. And sorry, we're ready to get started with round 3. So we're going to start round 3 similarly in the same way we did start with round 2. We're going to prepare to attach our gray, leaving a couple inches tail with the gray, and then we're going to do the same with the pink by leaving a few inches of tail and laying that yarn over the tops of our stitch. Then we're going to grab that working yarn in from behind, and then we're going to slip stitch to join. Now we're going to, goodness, I'll tangle it up here. Now we're going to do 4 gray stitches. And remember, those are in the back loops only, and those are in gray. There's our 4th gray stitch. Now we're going to switch into the pink, remembering we're doing that last yarn over of the stitch in the new color. And now we're going to do 3 pink stitches. There's 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to switch to the gray. We're going to do 5 gray stitches. Now we're doing our 5th stitch. We're going to switch to the pink, and we're going to do 3 pink stitches. Now we're going to repeat this pattern of 5 gray stitches followed by 3 stitches, a total of 9 times. And when we finish that repeat, we are going to finish off with our gray stitches like we did in round 1, and we're going to finish off with 4 gray stitches. So if you'd like to pause your video and come back to me at the end of this row, I will show you again how to finish off. So I just finished my repeat of 5 gray stitches followed by 3 stitches, and now I'm just doing 1 crochet gray stitch into the last 4 stitches. And again, just like in every other row, I'm going to leave my tails of a couple of inches and cut that yarn. And that is the end of row 3. And now we're getting ready to start with row 4, and just like in the previous rows, we're going to attach our yarn in that first stitch. We're starting with that gray stitch, or gray yarn, I should say. And as we have been, we will continue for every row to make sure that we're leaving tails of each color leaving off the end, so that way we have fringe on both sides. So we're going to pull that through, lay that yarn over. I'm going to attach it with a slip stitch. Now for row 4, we're going to start by doing 3 gray stitches. And now we're going to do 5 in the pink. Now that we've got 5, we're going to switch over to the gray, and we're going to do 3 gray stitches. And now we will do 5 pink stitches. And that's going to be our pattern repeat across this row. We're going to do 3 gray stitches followed by 5 pink stitches, and we're going to do that a total of 9 times. And when you finish those 9 repeats, you'll have 3 stitches remaining, and you'll place 3 gray stitches at the end of your scarf. Finish off using the same technique I've showed you by leaving a couple of inches of tail at the end, and then meet me back here when you are ready to start with row 5 of our scarf. So we are ready to start with row 5 of our scarf. I've already attached my yarn in the same manner as I have in previous rows, and I have my couple inches of tail starting for both of my colors. I've already taken the liberty to do the first single crochet, and now we're going to do 2 more gray stitches. So you'll start with this row with 3 gray stitches. Then you'll do 2 pink stitches. Followed by 1 gray stitch. Followed by 2 pink stitches. Now we're going to repeat this pattern of 3 gray stitches, followed by 2 pink stitches, then 1 gray stitch, then 2 pink stitches. We're going to do that a total of 10 times. So we've already done it once. I'm in the process of doing it a second time. We're going to do this across our scarf. And then at the end, we should have 3 stitches remaining. And in those 3 stitches, we will place gray stitches. So 3 gray stitches at the end. Then you'll finish off your round in the same manner that I've shown you for previous rows, remembering to leave those tails at the end. And then if you'd like to pause your video, finish this row, and meet me back here for row 6. I'll be here ready to show you our last round of our scarf. So we are ready to do our last row of our scarf, and it is going to be the easiest row of the whole scarf. So I've attached my yarn in the first stitch using the gray once again to attach, and I've attached it the same way I have for every row. And all I'm going to do is carry that pink yarn inside my stitches, and I'm going to do 1 gray stitch into every stitch across. That's it for this row. You just make sure that you carry that pink so you have those tails on the ends for you. So if you'd like to pause your video, come back to me when you are done and finish off, cut your yarn when you're done. Make sure again that you're leaving those tails. And then I'm going to show you what to do with the fringe and how we're going to put the finishing touches on our little scarf. All right, here is our finished scarf, and isn't it so cute and fun? I love the little hearts. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish off the fringe on the scarf here, and you can either just leave it as is if you'd like, or you can split them off into like groups of 2 or groups of 3. If you have an odd number, you can do group of 2, group of 3, group of 2, whatever suits your fancy. So I'm going to do groups of 2, and I'm just going to tie them together in an overhand knot and have that knot come close to the edge of my scarf, just like it would look like if it was actual tassels at the end of my scarf. You can see I've got an odd one out here, so I'm just going to add it in with another group, because I don't think my daughter's really going to notice that extra straggler there. Okay, and so now I've got all my little knots tied up, and then I'm just going to trim the fringe with a pair of scissors. Now, normally I like to do this after I have steamed it, but I'm just going to eyeball here, just so I don't have so much excess hanging out. and there is my fringe. And so I'll repeat this on the other side. And because I don't like that this isn't straight and I want my scarf to be looking the best it can, I'm going to steam block this, and I'm going to do it relatively lightly because it is acrylic and I don't want it to get melted in any way. But I am going to steam block it quickly just to help it look its best, straighten it out so I don't have any of like this curling on the end, and I have really straight fringe. And then also when I do steam block it, while it's still a little warm, I'll be able to flatten this out and make sure that they are in fact all the same length, and then I'll be able to cut them clean across and I'll have super straight fringe. And so that is our scarf for our Amigurumi Advent Calendar Crochet Along. I hope that you enjoyed making it as much as I did. And if you did, please hit that like button and please consider subscribing to this channel. If you'd like to learn more about the Crochet Along, or you'd like to view the pattern release schedule, you can view those both at theloopylamb.com, as well as other free crochet patterns and tutorials. So thanks so much for watching, friends. Happy hooking, and I'll see you next time.